2018 Michigan governor's race. Who among the candidates has an exclusive ownership on the question of urban revitalization? And what does that mean? And when it comes to Democrats, they've been dealing with the same set of players for the last 40 years. Should Democrats continue to talk to the same set of players? If, in fact, the net result or the net evidence is that, in fact, no urban agenda really comes out of those conversations. We have the Reverend Bill Noakes, Attorney Bill Noakes, is a regular commentator here on the show. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
We have Chris White. Chris White is a street fighter activist, a member of the Detroit Coalition Against Police Brutality as well. And we also have on the phone with us the Reverend Alan Overton. Do we have him? All right, we'll try to bring him shortly. But let me go with Chris. Let me start with you. The governor's race, obviously, for black people of color, let me stay with for black people to support, whoever emerges as the nominee or what they call the flag bearer of the ticket. There has to be the question, what's in it for me?
Exactly. That's a major part of what the whole political process is about. And the convention that just took place is not an indicator of that there's anything in it for African Americans. And that's going to be a concern because winning a nomination and winning an election is two different things. The very people that the nominees and the people who selected overlook have a larger voting mass and a voting base. So I think an error was made at the convention. And as of now, as you said on the shows, we'll continue, that right now there's absolutely nothing that African Americans are getting out of it.
Let me do this before I come to Bill Noakes again. You're listening to Red Line here on 910M. I'm Bankole Thompson, 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the number to call and chime in this conversation. What is the urban agenda 2018? Joining us on the phone also is the Reverend Alan Overton. He's the spokesman for the Concerned Pastors for Social Action. That religious group has been in the forefront in demanding state action. Reverend Overton is quoted in my column today in the Detroit News, but he was also part of a major lawsuit that resulted in, I think, in a $100 million settlement. Reverend Overton, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you, I'm certainly happy to be here. Glad to be on this afternoon.
Yes, let's begin in terms of Flint. Flint is going to be talked about in the gubernatorial race. Let's talk about what the people of Flint, what people like you, the ministers group, what you all expect of the candidates.
Regularly, we continue to expect for Flint to be part of the urban agenda and the conversation moving, listening forward. Flint is a community that's been depressed, mainly and not totally, but a great deal because of the leadership that we've had in the past 7 years. And we certainly need to have Flint first on the agenda to have some conversation on how do we repair a community that's been destroyed by poor leadership and poor management in the state.
Right. So for any candidate who's coming to Flint, or any candidate who prepares to play up Flint, like I've been saying on this show for a number of times, like an American, or wants to swipe Flint like an American Express card, the gold card, the black card, whatever is there, what do you tell those candidates, though?
Again, when we tell those candidates, the Flint there has to be some conversation, and there needs to be some sit down with the leadership of the city of Flint, Mayor Weaver and her administration to talk about just what's going to make Flint whole and how do we move Flint forward.
Right. What's going to make Flint whole and how do we move Flint forward? The mayor has said, the mayor has basically said that she plans to sue the state in terms of this latest, the fracas over the bottled water.
That's correct.
Is that something that is? Go ahead, I'm listening.
No, that's correct. Again, as the mayor begins to push her agenda to restore Flint, I don't think it's so much about the bottled water. It's just lack of continued recovery for the residents of the city of Flint. And she wants to make sure that Flint does not get forgot about these last 7 to 8 months, and even when the government comes in, that Flint is still on the forefront because Flint has not been totally made whole. The residents of Flint still have some challenges that's going on in here. Yes, the water is better with the land, but we still have some concerns about the water with other contaminations that's been in the water. So we still have to continue to have a conversation about how do we move Flint forward, and the economic development needs to be brought back to Flint because, again, what happened to Flint is not a cause that was created by Flint. We're trying to figure out how do we make Flint better because of what the government caused to us, and how do we get economic development coming back into our community.
And also joining us on the panel is Simone Lightfoot, a civil rights advocate, environmental justice rights activist from the Wildlife Federation. Let me bring Attorney Bill Noakes in this conversation. Your take. Flint is a big question on here. We're going to see candidates who would come out and actually talk as if, in fact, they perhaps were there when Flint was founded.
Well, I think one of the most important things is not so much to focus on what politicians say, because politicians say a lot of things.
Right.
It really comes down to what politicians are prepared to do to address the crisis in Flint. This is still a crisis situation in Flint when people can't trust the water such that they can bathe in it, such that they can drink it. It's a crisis. And there are two aspects to this thing when we look at the politicians. There's the legal issues, and the mayor of Flint has said she intends to sue the governor, but there's also the moral or ethical issue. Mm-hmm. I mean, where we are now is the governor is saying, I will no longer, or the state will no longer provide free bottled water. Well, how much could that possibly cost such that you would cut off the citizens of Flint from a source of water? That makes very, very little sense. And we also have to keep in mind that this is the governor who, up front, when he became governor, looked at cutting the number of dollars that went back to cities like Flint, cities like Detroit, and then that was part of what put them into financial crises such that emergency managers were necessary. So I think it's only fair that the politicians who come in, who are running for governor,
right,
they need to say, here's what we intend to do to address the needs of the citizens of Flint. We're not talking campaign slogans. We're not talking campaign rallies. It's what can we legitimately do to address the needs of these citizens?
Reverend Overton, your take?
He's certainly right on the issue, and as he said, the next governor we have that certainly in his institution and put it back in the Flint.
Right. All right. Thank you, Reverend, for being here. Thank you so much, Reverend Alan Overton, for the Concerned Persons for Social Action. Chris, I want to get to you before I get to Simone. In terms of just your take in terms of what Reverend Overton said.
I agree 100%. I believe that all candidates have responsibility to meet with the mayor, members of the council. I also believe that they have responsibility to work with the nonprofits. Like you do have Trustee Lightfoot, one of our national, I consider one of our national leaders. She's on the panel today. And I think that people like her and their organizations that have been working with Flint for the long haul, all gubernatorial candidates have a responsibility to meet with them and to craft a solution for Flint into a bigger urban agenda for the whole state.
Right. On social media, we're also live on social media here. Let's see, Eddie Roberts, Pinsley said a bottle of water costs no more than 17 cents per bottle. Simone, let me bring you in here because I know you've been traveling to Flint a lot. Your take in all of this and the 2018 governor's race.
My take, wow, yeah. It's so difficult oftentimes when you're on the front line because you tend to see the carnage. That's
right.
Just what you see all the time. And so putting out messages of hope and all of that is a struggle when you know the truth. The reality is the mayor is doing what she needs to do, in my mind, take it to the mat. She needs to take the governor to the mat. They're playing games. There's so much going on behind the scenes now that the public isn't privy to, not only after she left the press conference and articulated her willingness to sue the state, but then the state calls back and other projects that were underway around the jails and some other things are now.
So that's an indirect way of slowing down the lawsuit. Talk about optics.
The pressure is real. The punitive approach to policy that comes from this governor and the party that he's affiliated with is not only relegated to the state level, but it happens across.
So wait. So the mayor signals that he plans to sue the state over bottled water, and then the state calls behind the scenes and say, "Hey, we have this project here with Bill Noakes. We have this project here with Chris White. We want to move on this." So it's almost like what, giving you an opium or so?
Well, it's almost like you do it my way, or there's no way to be done. Again, very punitive, very full of retribution. And then the next day to cancel the meeting that was slated so that.
What shocked me was, and I kind of wrote excerpts of the governor's 2016 State of the State address, where he went on bended knees, apologizing for what happened. I will tell the truth. I mean, it was almost like he was a man under cross-examination and so forth, and the evidence was overwhelming in his face. And now, when the mayor said she wants an audience with the governor, and the governor's office response was, they will meet with the mayor when his schedule allows it. I mean, that's 2 years ago. This was a governor who literally went on bended knees, lying prostrate and saying, "I apologize, I'm sorry." Because then at that time, a photo op with Karen Weaver meant a lot in that redemption movement.
Right.
But remember how he got here. This was the governor who didn't show up to the community to tell him what his agenda was. This is the governor who wouldn't talk directly to urban centers, and he won anyway. And so he's really not doing much different than he did. We have to, as my grandma said,
but 2 years ago, I mean, he needed Karen Weaver to start next door to him.
But you know how politics is.
That was important. And
Today we can side with Bill Shultz. Who does that?
Well, we'll come to the next governor. I mean, we're walking our way. But Chris, we debated here before whether, in fact, Karen Weaver should have attended the governor's State of the State address, or perhaps she should have stayed in Flint. And the media would have done a split screen of the State of the State address where the governor is apologizing, and they'll go straight to Flint for the mayor's reaction and the city's reaction. But instead, Karen Weaver was in the state capitol with the governor for the State of the State address.
She was, but I mean, as an elected official, there are certain things, your protocols and processes that you.
Yeah, but you could have stayed in Flint. You could have stayed in Flint.
But
and the cameras will come to Flint.
So you assume
they'll divide
where
the
the
truck.
cameras at in Flint now?
Well, but that's why you got to see the momentum. The trucks would have been divided. Channel 4 will send 2 trucks, one to Lansing and one to Flint, because the reaction from Flint would have been the most important reaction than any other elected official.
I think one of the political errors she made was being a little bit too close to Rich Baird. And sometimes, you have to have some folk around you, that go back and forth with you. And, she was trying to follow the protocol. And sometimes it's rule number 1, there aren't no rules. Rule number 2, always remember rule number 1. But she was in a very, very tight spot because you're carrying for over 60,000 lives.
Right.
So, it's a spot that nobody has been asked to be thrust into. And then you're looking at this administration that is a very ruthless. He's sort of a Suge Knight approach to governance. Now, I wouldn't have got that close to Rich Baird like she did, as far as like accepting a campaign contribution and things like that. Part of it is where we are at now, and have you learned some of those political lessons? And what do we do now? And also, how do you deal with the potential gubernatorial, the next governor that's coming along? Now, we know on the red side of the aisle, Republican Party, it's going to get worse. The issue is, have the Democrat that are running been with Flint, or have they been fair weather friends or not friends at all?
Nope.
Right. Well, I like that, Bill, I'm coming to you. Rule number 1 is what? There are no rules?
There are no rules.
Number 2?
And number 2, always remember rule number 1.
Okay, Bill, I'll let you take it from there.
Well, it's interesting that we've somewhat shifted the focus to potential political mistakes by Karen Weaver.
Right.
Forget that. It's not about whatever political mistake she made. She didn't poison the water.
Right.
And she's not responsible for the decisions that the governor made relative to the emergency management law, overriding the will of the people and actually signing that new law simply because it strengthened the law